Well, hello, my name's Matthew Gardiner and I'm an artist and key researcher at the Ars Electronica Futurelab, but you probably noticed this is not the Futurelab. This is my studio in Australia where I visit from time to time and work on important things like PhDs and surfing and robotic origami kits like this one. So my current projects for this festival are two different, very different types. The first one, which I'm going to talk about now, is the Oribo kit. And the Oribo kit came about because I was interested in extending my repertoire of skills. Coronavirus hit. I was in the middle of making Oribotic blossoms a lot like this one here. And, you know, it just... yeah, I'm sure you've all went through something like that, but it stopped all the projects. So the project I was working on to show these had taken these so far, and then I still had that desire to make something though. And so my brother Josh had been talking to me about doing PCB design, and I kept dismissing him and saying, oh, it's so much to learn. Where will I ever have the time? And then suddenly I had some time. And so in this time, I spent, I've done 2 iterations of the board. So this is 1.0 and this is 1.1. And I used an STM32 microcontroller. Great chip. I think it's only like $1.20 or something in US in the placement of these. It's USB-C, which is just fantastic. So it means you can run a lot of current through them if you need to. And look, it's been a great experience to learn the process of doing pick and place files, using a manufacturing house in China. And so all you do is you send, basically for me, this was like digital manufacturing of PCBs. So you send them a digital file and they send you back a finished circuit board. They can't do all of the assembly, of course. There are some components that you need to put on manually, and so that was all part of a great learning curve. Once I saw that it was possible to do this, I initially started making these kits for my practice, and then I realized that, wow, where might my practice exist? Who might my audience be if museums are going to stay closed for longer? Or how can I engage different aspects of my audience? And so this project fulfills a lot of interesting niches in this current landscape of how do you continue practice, where do you engage your audience. I mean, I was talking to a friend, Adam Donovan, over Skype. We were having a Skype beer, and he said, man, I don't know what to do because I make stuff so that people can interact with and enjoy it. What happens when those people can't engage with the work? How can I have a meaningful practice? And I thought about that a lot, and I thought it was a really good point. And I realized maybe there was, because I developed some of these pieces for workshop scenarios, but I'd seen it as like a temporary thing, not as a kind of permanent idea. And then I realized, well, with this extra time, perhaps I could really take the kit idea one step further. And so, in the Futurelab some years ago, we worked with a company called Atelier, and we developed the Switch project. I did this with Hidair and a few other designers in the Futurelab. And I liked seeing how they iterated and developed the project. And, I did some physical design for it, and they did the electronics. But in this case, I've done everything from the ground up, from the electronics to the robotics. I'm doing the manufacturing here. Everything's happening in a studio space like this. There's an extra studio space out there, but it's not much bigger. There's a laser cutter to my left here that you can't see. I've got a Sherline CNC mill for doing any cutting for things I need. I've got my, over here in the background, I've got my trusty Lorch 1960s lathe. It's a beautiful piece of machinery, and I just do some small components for the piece on that. And, you know, suddenly I was able to turn my workshop into an art making space, into a kit making space, which, to be honest, wasn't that much different. So it was really a very natural extension. And now I've got a kit. I've been working on things that artists don't often do, things like marketing and, you know, marketing to individuals rather than marketing by making good videos or good artworks and so forth. You know, artists are often preceded by their reputation, so their reputation comes first and then the artist follows along with the project. And quite often we're contacted by museums, we're contacted by people that want to collaborate with us. We're not actively going out and knocking on the doors of universities saying, hey, come and do this kit, or we're not talking to individuals in the public sphere and saying, hey, come and look at my art show, or would you like to, you know, visit this art gallery to see this work? You know, we're not often engaged in this sort of very personal form of accessing our work. And what's also interesting is that this work is like opens up a door into years of practice. So there's ideas that are in this work or in this kit that you can pick up perhaps by looking at them, but when you engage with them, when you build them, when you fold it, and when you assemble one, you'll get a sense of where this could go in different directions and what else might you be able to make and do. And so that, for me, the Oribo kit is also a starting point for other people to explore the field of Oribotics. You know, because a lot of the tricky problems have been solved. Like there's some very fine details on like how the head locks and how you can take it apart. You know, like these are the most versatile and flexible Oribots that have ever been in the history of my practice. They're the most advanced by virtue of they're the furthest developed in some senses. So in terms of their usability and applicability beyond just a single design. So this is kind of a more open-ended robotic origami project than there's ever been before. So I'm very excited by that. You know, I've been contacted already via Twitter by a couple of artists and designers who are interested in the ideas. They're looking at how to do these things themselves. So that's already a fascinating part for me. I hope that this kind of research-based democratic art science has a way of finding itself into creative people's hands. And I think this is an extension from just being an artist who makes art for you to watch and enjoy, but being an artist who invites you into the room to engage with the practice, because the practice is extremely unique. There are very few robotic origami artists. There's a few now, but there's very few. But I'm interested in what would people do with more if these problems were already solved for them. And it's very inexpensive. I make these at, you know, marginally above cost, and it's really about trying to get these ideas out there in a good way. The second project, of course, is called Beside the Nibelungen Bridge, or Neben der Nibelungenbrücke. And for those of you that don't know, the Nibelungenbrücke is the bridge that runs right next to Ars Electronica. It's the Nibelungenbrücke. So the work is about not being at the Ars Electronica Festival, but being beside it. You know, and because beside the Ars Electronica Festival is where, you meet people inside the festival and so forth, but sometimes it's about what happens when you're standing at one of the bars or standing at one of the sausage stands, which so happens to be the kind of the main symbol in this work. And the sausage stand, you know, particularly because it's this sort of, it's something typical of Austria that you have sausage stands, and it's typical of Austria that, you know, they serve beer and food very late into the night, and you know, there's very distinct Austrian cuisine served in these things, and it's quite often, or it was quite often, that you'd find yourself having some very strange conversations with artists that are really, you know, people that you might have known for years, people that you've only just met. And so for me, the festival wasn't only the program, it was all the people that came and gathered and did things like, you know, sitting at or standing at Würstelstands eating Käsekreiner or Leberkässemmel with a can of beer. And, you know, in the middle of summer, this is a perfectly rational and quite good thing to do towards the end of an evening. You know, because you've forgotten to eat and you've been at the big concert night, and that's just the way the festival goes. And so this work is about trying to bring back some of those memories and some of those experiences, admittedly in a virtual augmented sense, which is sadly where so many things are that replace these things. But what I hope this work communicates is the memories. And I hope people use this work to communicate their memories of visiting Linz and having these very strange and unique experiences beside the Nibelungenbrücke or beside Ars Electronica Festival. So anyway, that's all for me. Enjoy the rest of your festival. Enjoy the rest of the tour around the different parts of the world. What a fantastic idea. Congratulations, everybody, back in Linz. From me in Australia, it's over and out.